So with that, please welcome Kent Laverne, Chief Deputy District Attorney at the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, to introduce our speaker.
Hey, thank you, and good afternoon to all of you. It's my pleasure to introduce you today Chief Jeffrey Norman of the Milwaukee Police Department. He was appointed to the police department in 1996, and after 6 years as a patrol officer, he was promoted to detective, and in 2002 then began investigating primarily violent crime here in the city. He did that until his promotion as lieutenant, or to the position of lieutenant in 2010, and at that point continued leading investigations related to violent crime here in the city. Continued to move up the ranks, of course, in the police department. In 2017, Chief Norman was promoted to captain, and in fact served as the district commander of District 3, which is located over on the city's west side. And in 2020, then, he was promoted to assistant chief. And in his role as assistant chief, he actually led all of the investigative operations of the Milwaukee Police Department, including robbery, homicide, sexual assault, all of those weighty responsibilities. And then he also oversaw the reaccreditation by the police department. Police departments have to reaccreditate themselves every several years to adhere to national training standards, and Chief Norman oversaw that entire process as well. In December of 2020, he was appointed as the acting chief of the Milwaukee Police Department. And some of you may recall that there was a lengthy process before he was finally, and in my view, deservedly appointed as the permanent police chief of the Milwaukee Police Department in November of 2021. Chief Norman holds a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice from UWM, a master's degree in public administration from Kaplan University, and a little known fact, a law degree, Juris Doctor, from Marquette University. He actually spent 1 year as a prosecutor in the Milwaukee County DA's office when we were both much younger, and realized that his true calling was in policing. He also has been a participant and graduate of many other national and international organizations relating to being a chief of police. He has a very difficult job, I think, as we all know, and it's a very difficult time, and I'm grateful that he stepped up for this important responsibility. So please welcome Chief Jeffrey Norman.
Too kind, too kind. So I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me to be here with you all today. I'm a little bit nervous seeing so many faces in the crowd, familiar and unfamiliar, but hopefully get a chance to meet with you all. It's always important to be able to have the ability to address our community, especially those who are committed to service within our community. But as Kent was given that long, I think overdrawn background on me, I always like to say that the two most important aspects about my background that I always love to share is one, born, raised, and still live in this city. Married to a woman, Dr. Sharnicia Norman of Frederick Hospital, who's also born, raised in this city, and committed to staying in this city. We have two wonderful children, age 16, age 13. And forgive me, son, for saying this. My son is going on, a little bit younger than my daughter, who is a little bit older in regards to behavior, but I love them both. But from that viewpoint is how I approach policing within our community. With a sense of urgency, a sense of commitment, with a sense of understanding who makes up our community and who we're working hard for every day. Like I said, I appreciate being a part of this discussion with the Rotary Club of Milwaukee. As a service-oriented organization, your mission and our mission aligns. I say to my officers all the time, we may not be serving a hamburger or fixing the plumbing, but we provide a service to our community. Responsive, respective of what is being asked of us in regards to the main and prime directive of what we're doing, which is called law enforcement. 2022 has been a challenging year. On top of two other challenging years, 2020, 2021. We start off this year with a truly impactful and unfortunate incidents with many of our own in regards to our officers. 3 officers in the state of Wisconsin in the month of January were shot in the line of duty. 2 with the Milwaukee Police Department, 1 with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office. Blessed to say that these individuals are healing, are still in recovery, but it's a constant reminder of the sacrifices the men and women of the badge do for our community. A constant reminder of the challenges the men and the women of the badge are dealing with for our community. It's without saying that is also transposing into our challenges with crime in regards to violence, our reckless driving, our motor vehicle thefts. I understand this affects many of you, especially from the business community, especially for those who are residents of the city. But we need to remind those who are around our city, suburban partners, even the greater whole of the state of Wisconsin. What happens in Milwaukee happens across the state. No one has a fence line, a dividing of sorts of that's in your backyard. We're okay. Unfortunately, as a leader of a large department, in fact, the largest department within the state of Wisconsin, I get a lot of different reports. And one thing I'm constantly reminded as I read these reports is what happens in your neck of woods happens in my neck of woods. What happens in my neck of woods happens in yours. Sometimes we just don't talk about it. But we all need to know that we are committed to affecting not only our greater Milwaukee area, but across the state, because we're all tied into this together. Understanding that reckless driving is not just a city of Milwaukee thing. Understand that motor vehicle theft is not a city of Milwaukee thing. Understand that the violence of seeing the fatals and non-fatal shootings within our city is not a city of Milwaukee thing. As a chief of a major city chiefs association, we talk quite frequently across what's going on in our nation. We're seeing unprecedented issues of crime and also these reckless driving and motor vehicle thefts and other things across our country. What does that mean? It means that we're all affected by this. No matter where you live, no matter what you do, no matter what type of line of work that you're in. As we still recover from the pandemic, understand there's challenges in regards to our respective professions. I read the news in regards to the crisis of workers, those who want to be committed to the work that's being done for our community. The Milwaukee Police Department, along with other departments, share those challenges. Our attrition is real. We are going through a big phase of retirements, and I hate to say some resignations. Those are moving on to other professions because of the challenges of our profession. But I will reassure you that those of us who are still here remaining exactly committed to ensuring the safety, ensuring the responsiveness, and ensuring that we'll do our part in regard the lift of public safety. This is not an easy lift. We also understand that it's through partnerships that the lift becomes easier. Not easy, but easier. So what are we doing about violent crime? Understanding through partnerships is the impact that we can have in regards to violent crime. Seeing, the Chief Deputy DA here, we're part of what's called the VR FAST, Violence Response, Public Health and Safety Teams, where there's a consortium of different partners working together to get to the underlying issues that generates crime. Whether it's poverty, unemployment, housing, with a goal of impacting these issues in 24 to 48 hours response time. Understand that you need to have real-time impact to be able to have truly results that are positive. We also have what's called the Public Safety Review, a weekly review with our partners, City of Housing, Department of Neighborhood Services, Department of Corrections, where we talk about public safety issues on a weekly basis with all our partners, where we are dealing with not only the shootings in our city, but also talk about the reckless driving, where we talk about firearm denials. We're really using a collaborative approach to be able to say that we are working with our system partners to have better outcomes. We also understand that there's a crisis in our community with our children. We are seeing an unfortunate challenge of this pandemic coming out in the worst ways with our youth, whether their involvement in their reckless driving, whether their involvement in motor vehicle thefts. We have a collective responsibility to impact this crisis in our community. I say this, no one is allowed to be a bystander in this. No one is allowed to write a check out of this. We all have some wisdom, some experience, some type of tool to help affect in a positive way those who need it most, our children. And my challenge to you all there, what are you doing respectively? How are you contributing to the overall health and safety of not only our community, but a greater community? The Milwaukee Police Department has a commitment to community engagement. In fact, we have someone who is going to be a soon-to-be member of our department, Ms. Marcy Patterson here, who will be the director of our community engagement, because we don't want to only have words. We want to have action behind those words. So please take the time to say thank you to Marcy stepping up to the plate. Yes, I have to mention that Dr. Hall is giving me the slanty eye right now because he was part of her staff there. But I'm sorry, sometimes you got to go after talent where you can find it. We all have a worker crisis, so I know we got to go a little hungry hippo across the professional lines. I know you gave her blessings. Thank you. And she pulled me by the side, kind of pulled me by the ear, so you better take care of her. But don't get me wrong. I think that there's a lot of excitement in regards to having Marcy with the team here. But we also work with our federal partners. We have task force. We have a number of different agencies of FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, ATF, the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, where we're dealing with another unfortunate issue in regards to our city, but also nationwide issue with firearms. If there's anything that I can say that is more of a crisis or a issue that we need to address, is the use of firearms to resolve our conflict. We're seeing unprecedented use of firearms in regards to those who are unable to resolve their conflict in a productive manner. Poor conflict resolution coupled with firearms, horrible results. We need to also step up to show how we can mediate, how we can use other resources to be able to redirect those emotional outbursts or those unfortunate ways of resolving a conflict. I know that, again, as we have a community engagement, we're working with a number of different partners. Our community engagement plan sat down with Justice Janine Geske in regards to restorative justice. Understand that there's a lot of platforms that we can do to help alleviate those poor conflict resolution situations that we can step up to. Work with partners like Office of Violence Prevention. I know I spoke with Director Holloman where we talked about in regards to having more active conflict resolution actions within our community, especially with our young ones, because we're seeing that as again, a horrible result. More along the lines of what we're doing with our stolen vehicles and also the reckless driving. We are now celebrating a little bit over a year time with the Traffic Safety Unit, a unit that's committed to enforcing our motor vehicle laws within the city of Milwaukee. That commitment of round the clock, 7 days a week, including holidays, of ensuring that we have a presence out there in regards to our reckless driving issues within the city. We all know that's not the all-encompassing answer. As much as we have situations of citations, we cannot cite our way out, we're not going to arrest our way out. We also are committed to working with our partners. Metro Milwaukee is one of them, of dealing with the educational aspects of talking with our young ones, but also the older ones. Because one of the things that I'm finding within our data points for the reckless driving, it's just not the kids that are doing it. It's just not that we have individuals who are unemployed doing it. We have those who are late for work. Those are late to get the kids to school. What can we do about the reckless driving issue? Model the behavior you expect. Don't just think just because you're in the city of Milwaukee, anything goes. Don't think that your children are not watching your behaviors. Understand we all have a responsibility to ensure that we are modeling the behavior that we expect, because otherwise you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Well, along with the Traffic Safety Unit, which is, again, one of the proud commitments that the Milwaukee Police Department has put forth, but we also have a motor vehicle task force, consortium of detectives, officers, crime analysts, where we're working to identify those who are doing the most harm within our community of stolen vehicles, but also ensuring that we have the accurate reporting in regards to these particular issues. Again, these are not all-encompassing solutions, but part of the solution. As you know, that we have just been recently approved by a Fire and Police Commission to allow towing of vehicles for those who are committing those particular reckless acts, along with being on a registered vehicle. I take no pride in have to take away someone's mode of vehicle of transportation within our community. But I also take no pride in someone being harmed by those who understand that the law is there for a reason. That we need to be sure that we are being safe to each other. That we understand that we have a responsibility to observe the rules of the road. If you cannot align yourself with that understanding, then that is where the community steps up and says, no more. And hopefully those will be a reminder to those that there are consequences to your actions when you do harm in our city. And I mean that. In regards to that, we are going to take this particular responsibility seriously, understand the sensitivity, but we will take action. May 1st, a couple weeks away. We have been sending out the particular notices in all my particular engagements. I'm glad to see that we have members of the media here, because our community needs to be reminded, we are not tolerating this behavior where it's not going to be unchecked. Your employees demand it, your residents demand it, we all demand it. Again, as a resident of the city, I demand it. So how can an organization such as yourself contribute to this overall lift? What can you all do to help not only the Milwaukee Police Department, but your greater community that you all serve? Well, and I got poked in the side by this, you have been helping in regards to the contribution to the stables and having that resource for us to be able to help with those who, we dealt with the equestrian situation of therapy, horse therapy. So I really do appreciate you all in regards to that contribution. I know that we also have a collaboration with our community engagement there, because it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. I had to walk through it myself, even like the little donkey there. Is a donkey or a mule there? So please give yourself a round of applause about contributing to that particular safety and help in regards to making our community better. But as I remind you, public safety is a team effort. It's through partnerships, it's understanding what the lift is for yourself. There are no spectators. If you're on the sidelines talking about what the Milwaukee Police Department is going to do, you're not part of the solution, part of the problem. Understand that, yes, it's nice to have the financial aspects of it, but I love seeing the cleanups in the neighborhoods and the parks. Understand that your hands really is the impact that our community needs. Your presence is the impact our community needs. We need to understand that we need to have a collaborative effort, building relationships, understand that we're connected in this lift called public safety. In closing, I hope that this particular discussion right now speaks to you. I hope that this particular discussion inspires you to find a way to find that what speaks to you about getting involved in our community. I'm asked often about myself stepping up to the plate as chief of police, but it was easy. This speaks to me. This work speaks to me. Community engagement is my core. It's not just something of a wordplay. I'm not all that great at servant leadership. I'm still working on it, but I do believe in the principles and philosophy. I believe in that I need to be able to contribute to make what I touch a better place. How do I leave it? Are the individuals benefiting from what the work that we're doing? I ask, what can you do? What will you do? How will you contribute? What way will you contribute? What way will you help us in this lift of call public safety? Our arms are open to you. Our ears are open to you. My heart is open to you. Because I say this, I'm not saying I like for you to be with us. I'm not saying that we want you to be with us. I'm saying we need you to be with us. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to express that. I'm not afraid to extend my hand to that. So thank you again for inviting me to speak to you all. Please stay blessed. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Please be easier on me. I cry easily.
I think I need to be taller. It's interesting. I actually was bound to ask this question before I heard your speech, so it all kind of comes together. I'm a downtown resident. I signed up for the City of Milwaukee e-Notify so that I can help fight crime in my area and, make sure that suspicious, things happen. I received 2 e-Notify messages last week, and it's the first ones I've received in months. One was for a car theft in front of my building on February 3rd, and the other was for something else in my block on March 4th. If I'm going to help you,
Yes, ma'am.
and help be the eyes and ears, I would urge you to really work on the technology side of this, because there are lots of people like me who want to help, but it doesn't do me much good to get something say, yeah, there was something happened at 400 North 3rd Street. Call this number if you know anything or want somebody to tell you how to get a police report.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to get a message within a couple days that says this happened, it was a car theft, and call a number that doesn't go to a phone tree.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I want to help, but I really would hope, and I think lots of people do. Do you have plans, I guess? Now that I made a speech, I can ask.
No problem.
But what are your plans to really make it easier for people to be part of the crime fighting, quote unquote, solution?
Absolutely. First of all, again, disappointed hearing some of the technology challenges. The Milwaukee Police Department has a number of different contributions to technology, but it's overall is run under the city of Milwaukee in regards to that particular platform. But that does not go without saying that we still have responsibility of having that connectivity to you as a resident. I know that we have at each particular district, since you are, I believe, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, live in district number 1, where the captain, who's the great captain for your particular area, they have community liaison officers, and they have contact numbers, and they have their own technology where they notify and also have the ability to communicate with residents such as yourself to be able to have those consistent conversations in regards to what's going on in your particular neighborhood. Also, that you have another point of contact, so to speak, in regards to your concerns. We do have a number of different platforms on our website that you can reach out to us, but also understand what's going on in your respective neighborhood for those incidents. But I would say that for as a starting point, please reach out to your district number 1 commander and actually ask for the community liaison officer. And I know we're actually we're going to recalibrate that, because I want to change that name, because we're going to have a change of philosophy about our engagement. But right now they're called CLOs, or community liaison officers. And that would be a good starting point of having that robust communication. I expect them all to be engaged. I expect them all to be responsive to you. And if they're not, let me know.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chief, if nobody commits crime, then we only need 5 policemen. But that's not the case here. What's the size of our force now, and what do you think it needs to be at to get a handle on this crime?
So right now, currently at about 1657 authorized, but I believe we're in the low 1600s. The attrition is still continuing. We're about to go into another month of May of retirements because of academy classes. So we get 25 years. and at your 25-year point, you're able to retire. And so a lot of times we know these attrition numbers will come in according to academy classes. So our next exposure will be May. It's hard to say what that number is. I know that we're going through a matrix study. So they're looking at what is the best practices, what are the opportunities, because we still have to be efficient. I'm talking to a lot of business owners in here. It's always great to have a number of different people working on projects, but what's the right point of number of people working on projects? I know that we're working on doing some civilianizing some positions. And so we do have opportunity to, I believe at some point, mid spring or late spring, that we'll have a report out on what that number looks like. I know it's going to be highly anticipated, but I will be a little selfish saying I'll take whatever I can get. I know that we've been authorized and blessed from the elected officials to get 195 replacement officers. Don't let that fool you saying there's additional. No, we're replacing, as in like, what's coming in is going out. But we do look forward to seeing what does that report look like, because when I came on the job, we were at 2,300. And so there is challenges in regards to overall cost. I mean, definitely, there's no secret about pension issues, but the work is still real. We are, our investigators definitely have a capacity issue when dealing with our investigations out there. There's no secret in regards to challenges of, being in front of our clearance rates. But I'm very proud of the men and women of the Milwaukee Police Department, the commitment I see. I always like to say this. During the pandemic, there was no stay at home and do Zoom policing. There was no Microsoft Teams policing. They showed up each and every day, where they could have taken it out. Said I was, infected with COVID-19 and whatnot, but they did not. I'm extremely proud of the men and women of the Milwaukee Police Department. I understand that the challenges are real, the lift is real, but the dedication is just as real.
Thank you.
Chief Norman, thanks for coming today. I'm a proud resident of River West District 5.
Oh, yes, my stomping grounds.
Would love to hear your perspective of the relationship. What do you understand the relationship between the community and the police force is today, and what you have in mind to continue to improve that relationship in light of your public safety message?
Well, Brent, I say this much. All my things are anecdotal, but they're good anecdotes. I know that we're working on surveying our citizens, because it's good to have that feedback, that loop of feedback. Where can we improve on? I know we're looking at some QCR code to be able to distribute to our citizens, because we need to have that feedback. But I'll say, seeing some of the things that has taken place over the course of my time being the chief's chair, I recall the other day where one of our community partners sent information about kids with a weapon and were involved in drug use at a high school. They sent that to us. That is huge. What it's telling me is that you trust us to do the right thing with this information, that you're not using your own methods to intervene. And this was from a community partner that we weren't on the best of terms for a while. Seeing those particular type of engagements says that we're on the right track. I want the Milwaukee Police Department to be in circles where it's not a surprise to see us there. I know I see Tom shaking his head. We was at the Sharp situation the other day, judging our young youth from MPS and their innovations in regards to, working on solutions to community problems. I've seen somebody had a machine used to, take up garbage, or another one talking about a machine that checks you, for COVID-19. These are youth. Children in our community being part of and engagement with our law enforcement. Those activities will help us move the needle in regards to the trust between our department and our community. Showing up and being present, but beyond being present, being engaged, being in this uniform. I tell my staff all the time, when we engage, we will be in this uniform. We're not dressing down. We're not hiding anything. People see us all the time in crisis and emergencies with this uniform on. That assigns negative connotations and experiences with this uniform on. They need to see us. in good moments, times of celebration, times of support, with this uniform on. That's how you change the narrative. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Maybe 10, 12 years back, there was a program that the Milwaukee Police Department had with MPS called STOP, Students Talking Over with Police, which is focused on conflict resolution at the root level. That program disappeared. Is there any intention of bringing that back?
So there's challenges that I can't speak of in regards to the STOP program. A couple of things that we always have to say is a proprietary type of situation. But that doesn't mean there's not other opportunities. I just said I sat down with, Judge Janine Geske, the ex-Supreme Court Justice, who's totally committed in the conflict resolution, dealing with, again, restorative justice, working with a number of different partnerships for alternative response initiatives. There is a lot of opportunity out there that we need to embrace. We're not the subject matter experts when it comes to that type of work. And understanding that being able to tap in those resources, being present and being part of those particular type of engagements is important for the Milwaukee Police Department to be a part of. So while we may not have that particular program, and I was part of that, I was actually STOP trained, understand there's so much potential out there. In fact, I have to be careful because I'm saying yes to too much. When I told, Judge Geske that we're jumping on, she's like, that was easy. I said, yes, it was easy because it aligns with what this department is committed to. But we also know there's a capacity issue. We need to understand there's only so much that we can do, but hopefully the work that we're doing, especially in light of those type of programs, engaging our youth, finding ways to be able to redirect the anger and emotion, because conflict is not new. As old as dirt. Whether you want to go to Cain and Abel or you want to talk about any other, issue that comes with conflict resolution. But what is different is how we're resolving, or if you like to say, resolving in a negative way, our conflict. So there's a lot of opportunities. I got a high bar for somebody in this room in regards to how we are able to, again, collaborate, understand how do we be part of the conversation, because too often, because the police department's there, they think that we're supposed to drive the conversation. Now, we'll be part of the Thanksgiving meal as a potluck. We're all going to bring a dish here on this table to make a dinner. And so definitely looking for a lot of different opportunities. There will be something coming out. I know that we were working on with the Community Collaborative Commission, a community engagement plan where we're going to go through every district, meaning the automatic districts, talk with the community, get that input so that we have buy-in and that we're working on this together. Thank you, sir.
Chief, thanks again for being here today. I have a number of very close friends and family in law enforcement, and we expect men and women of law enforcement to be robots, right? To be perfect, and almost to a T. They all have stories, either personal or of the men and women that they work with, of decreasing morale. And what are your primary challenges, and what are those of you in law enforcement leadership doing to help address the mental health of men and women in law enforcement? I mean, they're people.
Yes, sir.
Right? They're husbands, wives, fathers, mothers.
So there's a number of things to be able to address that. One is leadership needs to understand that our men and women are not robots. I say this wherever promotion opportunities, when I am addressing the team, the command staff, executive command staff, see your people. You just said it just like I would say it. They're husband, wives, brothers, sisters. See your people so they will see others. Hurt people hurt others. So if we are not being good to our own, how can we expect them to be good to our public? But within that same vein, I work out every morning, six days of the week. But I also understand that I have to have mindfulness incorporated in that. I need to have wellness in my own head. Meditation is very important in my life. We have a robust wellness team, a chaplain program, a psychologist, a staff of interns and other doctors helping with the spirit and the mind. Understand that you can't only be well in the physical. if you're not well in the mental. I meet regularly with the wellness team, actually every quarter. Unheard of in regards to having that engagement, because it is important to get a temperature of what's going on within the department and find ways to be able to address it. Do I have the keys? I will always say that it's a work in progress. But I will say that we have great team members working on the same thing, the wellness of our members of the department, both sworn and non-sworn, because there's no difference between the two, except for that one carries a gun, one doesn't. When we had that recent incident in regards to the district was fired upon, I had civilian members, and again, I like to say members in general, crying on my shoulder. Their wellness is just as important as the ones who are carrying a weapon. And we need to be intentional. We need to understand that we have to be supportive, expanding it not only from a standpoint there was like only 2 places you can go to see them. Now they're in every work location across the city, because we need to make it available, but we also have to make it normal. We're still working on things, I'll admit it. We're still working on things, but I will say that we really are committed to wellness. We're really committed to our physical being. And I am happy to see that so many of our leaders are really embracing it, be a role model for the men and women of our Milwaukee Police Department. Thank you, sir.
Chief, thanks again for all your service.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
I'm coming back.
Anytime. Now, Chief, you talked about safety and crime being boundaryless, right? Not having a geographic border.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the national trends, some big city trends that are really top of mind for you?
So actually, the Major City Chiefs are converging in Washington, D.C. next month to talk about firearms. Ghost guns. We have weapons being modified into automatic. We're seeing, again, the weapons are being accessible to a point. It's nothing wrong to own a weapon. It's nothing wrong to be in possession of a weapon. But what is wrong is when you don't have the responsibility attached to it. We're seeing an uptick of weapons being stolen out of vehicles. Uptick of weapons being stolen out of homes. And we're finding these weapons back into our community. This is going across nationwide. We have a responsibility to tell others, what are you doing to secure your weapons? What are you doing to ensure that we're not arming those who steal the vehicle, who unfortunately will burglarize your home? Because we're seeing these weapons being utilized in the most horrendous situations. We're seeing the challenges in regards to these weapons taking way too many lives. And because of accessibility of these weapons in the wrong hands, we're seeing individuals utilizing these weapons because they don't have proper conflict resolution issues. Crisis with their kids. Again, this is nationwide. In regards to the behaviors that we're seeing our young ones involved in. We have just gotten to, points of having in-school education, especially for our larger, districts. They always say that idle hands is the devil's work. And so that's where we need to ensure that we are assisting in re-engaging those safe places, those Boys and Girls Clubs, the YMCAs, those places that are institutions that we all fondly remember. Those have been offline for a little while. They're slowly coming back in, but we need to do a collective effort to ensure that those safe places, those who work in those safe places. Where's Chris? Where's Chris at? Can feel. Chris, is she gone already? Those places that help us take care of our kids. Because if those places are not available, they will find their own ways to keep themselves busy. So those are some of the more alarming things I'm seeing across the nation. Obviously, because of some of the anxiety and issues coming out of our, being closed off, we're seeing uptick in domestic violence. We're seeing those particular, again, conflict resolution issues. But I can say this with complete sincerity. When people ask me, what do I feel as a leader dealing with all these challenges, I still say hope. As I see everyone in this room, I say hope. I say that I feel inspired because I know that there's energy in here. I know there's talent in here. I know there's experience in here that can help with this lift. And all it takes is just a little spark, maybe a little word, a little gesture. But, you know, the history of the Rotary Club has been well documented. I know that, you know, there will be that hands-on deck approach. But beyond just your organization, reaching out to others who are like-minded to inspire them also. Please share that lift and that responsibility so that we all are doing our own part.
I've been impressed with your comments relating to your dedication to your officers. Has there been any change, good or bad, resulting from the ability to officers now live outside the city that they police?
Well, I will say this much, sir. I don't have anything to do with the law, so I respect what the law allows. But subscribing to servant leadership and making sure the resources and the guidance and the training, development, and mentoring for our officers, I expect the best productivity from them. So whether you live in the city or outside the city, I want the same officer. And the accountability is real if there is a lack of urgency, a lack of responsibility, because the lift is real. You all don't deserve anyone but the best version of that officer responding to your needs. And I don't have any tolerance for anyone, whether they live in the city, outside the city, who don't understand that lift, to understand what service means. That it's not about yourself, it's about the selflessness. And if I'm not showing it, which, you know, you can follow my LinkedIn feed or I'm fishing with kids on Saturday or going out to a community event or being there for the emergencies. It's important for the leadership to embody what we expect from our members and to show that professionalism has no residency, that service has no jurisdiction, that being the best version of what your tax dollars are spent on in regards to this public safety is being best spent. So I would say I don't go around for surveying in regards to this particular act, was this a cop from the inside or cop from the outside. I want the members to be consistent, and when there is inconsistency, that's when accountability comes into play. No problem, sir. Well, as I wrap it up, I see Mr. Sandman's coming over here. It is with great pleasure and my honor to be here to speak to you all. I will hope that my words have resonated with you in some way, some form, some fashion. As always, Milwaukee Police Department welcomes any help that we can get and even more. But again, please stay blessed, please stay safe, please stay healthy. Thank you.